So this is part three of the Vinny story, and part one was an email that showed up from basically another part of the world with an individual who had some questions, and he told me a bit of his story and sent some photographs, and then I presented that to you all as an opportunity to ask yourself, what would you think's going on with Vinny? And then in part two, we shared a number of email exchanges and more photographs from Vinny about what he was experiencing and some of the process that he went through of accepting that what was going on was not necessarily curable from the standpoint of fixing the problem that was causing it, although he did have an interesting idea that maybe there was some way to improve his veins to prevent these broken red blood cells from spilling out and causing a non-pruritic or a non-itching rash. But the first question that you might have asked is, what could have caused this initially? And that's the question that I had as well. And my best guess, and that's what it is a guess, is that Vinny is a victim of rheumatic heart disease, and this follows a strep infection. Initially, it's called rheumatic fever, and it leads to rheumatic heart disease, but the rheumatic fever, if you look here, of course there's arthritis and little nodules and fever and etc. But one of the things, and you can see right here, that they experience is a blotchy rash that doesn't itch. Now, this is not the same rash that we were seeing in the pictures before. The initial rash would look more like this, and it's what we would call a scarlatinic rash. And so that's a little bit over magnified. So it's a very fine rash, more of a petechial rash, or small little spots that kind of come together into confluence into more of a macular or even papular pattern. But that's the initial rash following a strep infection. And this is why we tend to run strep tests when people come in with a sore throat, as opposed to not testing for other problems. And the reason is because by stopping a strep infection early, we can help prevent a secondary problem called rheumatic heart disease. And what rheumatic heart disease is basically a condition where the body begins to mount an immune response against the heart valves, and it leads to inflammation and then poor valvular function, where they might stenose or stick almost closed, or they might stay open. But either way, it leads to a poorly functioning heart. And as you see here, rheumatic fever is common worldwide, is responsible for many cases of damaged heart valves, not common in the U.S., mainly because we tend to be a little bit more aggressive about treating with antibiotics. Last outbreak in the U.S. was in the 1980s. Generally, this affects children ages 6 to 15. If you remember, Vinny said the first time he had a rash like this was when he was 17. And rheumatic fever begins approximately 20 days after strep throat or the scarlet fever or scarlatinic rash. And then secondarily, once the heart damage has been done to the valves over the years, we can see some papular rashes, but almost always the patient ends up requiring a mechanical or biological valve replacement because they end up with heart failure, and due to a valvular condition where the heart valve is not functioning properly. And you can see here in this particular case, this is a patient who's had heart valve replaced, and they are on coumadin therapy, and this might look a little bit more like what we saw initially with Vinny. And here's another picture of what it looks like when you get a rash after being on warfarin or coumadin, and you can see it's sort of a flat purpura or macular red rash. These are not pruritic, they don't cause itching, but they're easy to identify in patients who are on coumadin and have heart valve replaced. So I think our story with Vinny is an interesting story where he had dealt with on and off rashes over the years due to initially the strep infection and then the rheumatic fever, and then probably with some valvular issues in his natural valves he began to have problems, and then he required the replacement of 2 valves in his heart, and then he's going to need lifetime anticoagulant therapy. And the inexpensive way to achieve that in most places is with coumadin, or warfarin would be the drug name, but coumadin is the brand name. And it has a very narrow therapeutic range, and it's very easy to see patients be overly anticoagulated while taking coumadin. So it's necessary to frequently monitor those levels of anticoagulation. But when a patient is on warfarin or coumadin, then it's not unusual to see them develop this kind of non-pruritic papular purpura macular rash. So I think what's going on with Vinny is easily explained by his history and the surgical procedures that he's been through. I do not believe that Vinny has a non or undiagnosed mysterious rash. I think it's very explainable by a streptococcal infection that led to rheumatic heart disease, rheumatic valvular disease, and now perpetual anticoagulant therapy. And I think he's disturbed by the fact that he has to take this medication and endure these unsightly red spots. So I've tried to be encouraging for him and let him know that he doesn't need to keep spending money looking for a solution to his problem. What I don't understand is why he hasn't had a physician at some point that said, hey, look, this is going to keep happening. It's because of what you've been through, and it's because of the fact that you're on this medication to prevent you from developing a clot that could cause a stroke while you have artificial heart valves. And you don't need to keep worrying about it. So I don't understand why he hasn't gotten the message. Either he's just in denial or nobody's delivered the message directly to him. But I hope that through this experience with me, that hopefully he understands better now that this is directly due to the surgical history, first the infectious disease history, but then the surgical history, and now the fact that he needs to live on anticoagulant therapy for the remainder of his life. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching and taking a look at the whole Vinny story. I hope you like these, because I work with folks frequently on these, and if you do like them, I'll keep doing them. Anyway, I hope you've had a great weekend. Bye for now.
Hey folks, you've heard from hundreds of people who have benefited from Dr. Gilmore's Meta 7.
I love it so much. It gives me so much energy during the day.
I've noticed a change in my hair, my nails, my blood pressure.
There's no doubt that it's a benefit to me. It gives me more stamina.
And you've seen celebrities and fitness experts talk about Thynergy.
Thynergy. You guys are helping people lose weight.
This is a shout out to the team at Thynergy.
Thynergy.
To all the crew at Thynergy, I wanted to just tell you guys to keep losing all the weight. You're doing amazing, and congrats on hitting your goals.
Now it's time to pick up the ultimate weight loss pack, Thynergy and Meta 7 together. Activate your life with more energy from Meta 7, then curb your appetite and burn those calories with Thynergy. Check out the Amazon links below and start losing weight today.